What's up, everybody? It's Aslan and Michael here to talk recruiting. Welcome on into the Warchant.com recruiting chat with Michael Langston, recruiting analyst for Warchant.com, the ultimate Seminoles sports source. You can sign up for a full year of access. All the stuff that we're about to talk about has probably been covered ad nauseum over on the premium recruiting board, courtesy of all the hard work that Michael does. So hop over there, get access, premium, full, unadulterated access to Warchant.com from now all the way up until September 1st for $29.99. Also hit the thumbs up. Michael, how you doing, big guy?
I'm good, man. I'm ready to roll. Everything's great. I'm geared up for another junior day this weekend, and certainly it's been a lot of positives as far as FSU recruiting, even to the next cycle of junior day. So lot of fun going on.
Right on, man. Well, hey, let's get this party started. I've got some issues over on my end here, so no soundtrack for us tonight. But if we did, it would go dollar bills, y'all. L.A. the God drops $2 in the jar. Handsome little devil of a child there. I don't know if that's you or your own, but shout out nonetheless. Michael, let's start off with any news on Byron Vaughns and Dylan Brown Turner.
I don't think there's going to be anything with Byron Vaughns because they added Gilbert Edmond, who obviously y'all got a chance to talk to this week on being in the program. So with him in play, I don't think that's an issue. Now linebacker Dylan Brown Turner is an official visitor. He's the only high school kid that, to my knowledge, they're actively recruiting. He's from Texas, 3-star. Committed to North Texas, but FSU stayed in touch with him. I think Randy Shannon likes him a lot. He's officially visiting this weekend. He's going to get here, start his visit around Friday morning, from what I was told. So he's definitely a guy that they're still active with. Kind of what I've mentioned before. They want to build around that depth of what they have with the starters and DJ Lundy, Tatum Bethune and Kalen DeLoach, and it kind of adds to their depth that they can add a guy like Dylan, and he's, like I say, he's a guy they've been on for like at least 3 months or so, and a guy they like, and we'll see how the official visit goes. But as far as outside of him, I don't think there's any high school. I think most of the focus is going to be on the portal.
Yeah, so I mean, you kind of answered the question I had on my mind, Michael. Does it feel like Dylan Brown Turner, that's pretty much the only high school guy they're after here for 23 that's still left out there?
I think so. That's the only one I've heard. I think everything else is portal related, and I think outside that, it's just we wait for that May 1st through the 15th window to come up. You might get some activity in April where we start hearing some guys that could be a possible visit plan, but I don't think FSU's in a hurry to really push for guys when you can't sign until May anyway. So I think they're taking their time on that. And for me personally, I think the holes, I mean, I'd look at it this way, like if there's a top-notch safety and they nail that, I think you're good, going to that spring. I think there's other places you can bolster your team, like adding another linebacker from the portal, adding a offensive tackle from the portal. But out for me, it's the safety. If you get a productive impact enforcer type safety, I think this is as close as I can remember FSU being to filling all the major holes that they had in the staff. You look at defensive tackle, they knocked it out of the park. Tight end, they knocked it out of the park. They added different positions on the defensive line. Even that, they filled all those gaps. We saw last year Fabian Lovett missed several games because they were probably, they count on him so much that, so you add guys like Daryl Jackson, Brandon Fisk, guys like that, that's going to really help that depth. And then tight end, we've covered Jaheim Bell, Kyle Morlock. I think they've nailed with that. The only thing I got left, or I want to see, is a productive safety added to this 2023 class. And I think if they do that, man, they got to be through the moon, out of this world, excited about what they have entering, that spring and summer.
Long way between now and May, but obviously hope somebody like that does materialize, because it
Yeah,
won't be easy to find somebody to fill Jamie Robinson's shoes, but they certainly are
right.
going to try. Shout out to the Godfather. Ed Lemix is here of DeLuna Coffee, DeLunaCoffee.com. He drops $20 in the jar. Ed, thank you, man. You're the man. You know that. I'm having musical issues. I can't pull up your usual soundtrack, but you are the Godfather. He sleeps 20 feet away. Courtney, that's his wife. They'll be at the Clemson basketball game Saturday. Says he would love to see us there. I don't know. I think Michael might be chained to some sort of bench or something out front of the Moore Center on Saturday.
Yeah, I'll be at Moore most of the weekend. I don't anticipate to be there Friday like we did last week. To my knowledge, there's not a Friday visitor. I'm going to get some, FSU Intel type stuff as far as visitors tomorrow. So that's something to look forward to. I'll add to that visitor list. People can go to the PRB. I've already covered some guys. I think there's around 7 on there already. I expect more. Expect around the same number that we've seen the last few weeks. 25, around 25 really solid prospects. So I will be enriched at, more both Saturday and Sunday. I expect a few visitors. Plus, you're wrapping up the official visit for Dylan Brian Turner. So I'll certainly be there to see what happens with that. Yeah, I will. I probably won't be there because I'll be enriched in this final weekend of basically almost the final weekend of 2023 class outside of what happens in May.
If somebody at home can explain to me and describe what the super sticker that Tommy Jenkins just gave us looks like, I'd appreciate it. I can't see it on my side, but hopefully you folks can. $10 in the jar from Tommy. Appreciate it, Tommy. He says, putting money in the jar. Big ups to the both of you. Mad Money Mike dropping knowledge. I guess you're Mad Money Mike, So you're dropping knowledge. Keep it up,
Okay,
Tommy says.
appreciate it. Appreciate it, Tommy.
Let's scroll up here to the top. Our guy Eric Angel here in Tallahassee asking Michael if you think there's another pass rusher they might go after in the portal.
No, I think they're pretty comfortable with what they have with Verse returning and then adding another piece in Gilbert Edmond. I think they feel pretty good, Eric, about their defensive end position. You also return a superstar in Patrick Payton, who I am extremely high on, have been since he arrived. You return Derek McClendon as well. I think you could see Dennis Spriggs being mixed in with defensive tackle and defensive end. So I think there's a lot of I think they feel pretty good about their defensive end options. Now, there's always the best available that they could take in May that somebody jumps out and maybe in the portal, but right now I don't think they're really just looking for, another defensive end. I think they feel pretty good about that room.
Michael, I feel like your home away from home is like pretty much this entire state, but the southwest part of the state, I think, holds like a special kind of place in your heart as well, too, down
Hmm.
there. Traditional, he wants Tawaski Abrams, also known in some corners as a TJ Abrams, I think.
Yeah.
Michael, what do you know about this young man?
Yeah, he visited over the weekend. Brought his mom on this visit. This is the first visit I think that his mom has attended on any place. Tawaski, for people that don't know his background, he's had FSU as his leader from the start. He's always wanted to play at FSU. That's been his dream school. I mean, not like your regular dream school. This is a kid that loves FSU. I checked with my contact probably just about 5 minutes before I came on here. Kind of told people like, look, there's a decision coming up Thursday. I think he's going to announce a college decision. I think it's going to be FSU. After talking to this person, I also still feel it's going to be FSU. Blistering fast prospect that they used in the slot, really got some great wheels, and certainly a guy that FSU's coveted from the start. As I said, his mom visited with him over the weekend, and I think that's what really sped this thing up. I'm expecting around 3:15 in the afternoon Eastern Standard Time that he will announce a decision as far as his college, and everything I have points to FSU, and certainly, like I said, FSU is the only school where he's visited with his mother, and certainly I think that visit kind of sped things up. Of hey, that's where I know I want to be. And certainly, I think at this time going into tomorrow, I think FSU is going to get some good news.
I mean, I guess his tape speaks for itself, man. But
Yeah,
you've been covering a lot of guys down there at Dunbar High School. I mean, level of competition, everything. Should we? Does this tape is it legitimate? I mean, this kid looks explosive, Michael. I mean, to say
he's very legit. I mean, everything you see is absolutely he is the real deal. I mean, he's good. He plays against good competition. They play against teams like Naples, who's one of the top teams in Southwest Florida. They play in a pretty high classification. Great team. They're usually good almost every year. You look at them and they're in the playoffs, and they go pretty fairly deep in the playoffs every year. He's also played some defensive back as well for Dunbar. Obviously, FSU likes him at receiver. He's just so dynamic after the catch. A lot of people ask me like, what's the difference between him and Dre Jacobs from last year from Buer Beach? I think with Dre's a little more fine tuned as far as what he does in space, but I think they do some similar things. Both of them are blistering fast. I would say like TJ's probably a little bit faster, but I think overall he's exactly what they've been looking for. Tony Tokarts, obviously Ron Dugans, all those guys that have recruited in the area in the Southwest area. They've done a great job there. But Knight Norvell went there to see him on Monday, and then shortly after that, that's when TJ said, "Hey, I'm ready to do this thing." So I think I certainly a great weapon and a big weapon that would add a lot of speed to we saw that that's kind of a normal thing that we're seeing more and more of both 2023 and 2024, that they want to add a lot of speed to that slot position, and that's certainly I think TJ does that.
Speaking of the other TJ, how about Tommy Jenkins? He's back. He threw us $10 earlier. We appreciate that, Tommy. Mike, would you rather have a top 10 class every year with a few select guys from the portal?
Why can't I have both, Tommy? Like, why can't I have both? Like, why not have a great group of everyone tells me like, hey, this is not sustainable. Like the portal, guys, it's going to be sustainable because good players are going to leave. There's no guarantee any high school kid has to stay at a school. So you're going to have kids that enter the portal consistently. You're always going to have good players in there. I think for me, really top 12 class for me, Tommy. And if you're nailing the portal like they are every year, I'll take that any year because that's a top 5 class to me if you measure in everything together as far as the talent. So for me, I think it needs to be a mixture of both. I think FSU's got it figured out, doing it the right way. Obviously, I want to see a boost in high school a little bit higher than what it is. I think they finished 19 in the high school class. I think you want to get that up to maybe the 13, 12 range. And obviously, if you can get it inside the top 10, yeah, that's phenomenal. But I think the big thing is what your class is as a whole is what I look at. Like, and I count in every guy, like the high school and the in the portal. So I think you have to have that mixture because that's what we're trending towards of the portal recruiting being just as important as the high school recruiting, but you want to have a nice mixture. What cracked me up is people actually treating this high school class like it's just crap. Like you look at it's like Hakeem Williams, Lucas Simmons, Blake Nicholson, all these top guys, Conrad Hussey, and one of the top safeties in the South, Edwin Joseph, another 4-star athlete, the defensive back. So there's a lot of really good talent that they're bringing in from this class. KJ Sampson, guy finished with 20 sacks for the season. Lamont Green Jr. So I think this group, Dre Jacobs. I mean, I think this class in high school kind of gets overlooked because of what they've done in the portal, but there's some really elite dudes in this class that they're already putting together. So I think it has to be a mixture, Tommy, of both high school recruiting and portal. And I think FSU has the best balance of what they've done so far.
Tomcat, what do you think about Knight and the other South Florida defensive back that wears number 18?
I'm assuming he's talking about Ricky Knight. Ricky, I like a lot. I got the impression that FSU leads for him. The Florida DB wears number 18. That's kind of, you got to give me a little more intel than that. I don't follow Florida all the time except when they're playing somebody significant that I care about. So probably going to need a little more than that. But I think Ricky's really good. I think he's very underrated as far as where he's at now, but I think that's going to change. I think he's going to be a low 4-star prospect that certainly FSU likes a lot. Visited for the junior day, seemed to indicate that he was a certainly a major priority, but also that FSU is the team that, as he said, it's going to be really tough to top FSU. So I think they sit in a pretty good spot with Ricky. you give me a name, Tomcat, I'll be glad to talk about them. But or school or where they're from or something that would kind of help me.
Are you seeing any kind of pattern in who they're going after, Michael? I mean, we've heard from these kids. They all seem quite bright, very kind of earnest young men. I mean, you've been talking to these kids. I mean, you're seeing them out at the junior day.
Hmm.
Is there sort of a trend, whether it's the way they carry themselves off the field or maybe their sort of talent level here, that you're kind of seeing a pattern here in recent memory?
You're seeing more length as far as DBs. You're seeing a lot of guys there you're a little taller than what you usually used to as far as what they recruit, but obviously the character, there's certain characteristics that they look for in their makeup and how they carry themselves and how they fit into what FSU wants from the corners. But I think they also want aggressive dogs. They just want guys that are gonna play that aggressive style and certainly aren't afraid to come into a room that there's already a lot of talented players in that FSU secondary and they're not worried about, hey, if I'm going to play freshman or they want guys that have that aggressive dog and chip on their shoulders, and I think that's kind of what I see, at least a trend what they're doing in the DB room.
Let's go to our guy Mike Bainter. What's up, Seminole Nation? I know that linebackers coach Randy Shannon is pretty anal about what he wants from a linebacker. So, what
Okay.
are the projections for 2024?
I mean, I think there's a lot of top prospects that they're certainly looking at in 2024. I think if you go to Mike, if you go to my hot board, I already did a breakdown and preview of where things stand of all those prospects. I think the projections are pretty good as far as what they look for. I think Aslan just pulled it up right there. It's you can read all the guys that I have so far, and I think that list is going to certainly expand over time. I think guy mentioned there Zaquan Patterson, Xavier Hamilton. Those are guys that are going to visit FSU. They're 4-star talents that I like a lot, and I think there's going to be more that are added to it. And I think the main thing takeaway of what they look for in a lot of these linebackers, I think they want to add a lot more speed to the position. Those are kind of got characteristics I think they're kind of looking for, and certainly size helps, and that's certainly a factor. But I think speed and what they bring with that position with speed and how that translates to the defense is kind of some of the focus. But full breakdown on all those guys on the hot board for the linebackers. Hope that helps you, Mike.
I can keep scrolling, Mike. That's for the subscribers, man.
Yep.
We can only give away so much. Back to traditional. Michael, do you believe FSU is holding strong with their current commits? Anything shaky at this current point?
I think everything's pretty strong right now. I mean, two strongest guys I visited this weekend, Cam Davis, obviously Luke Cromahoke, both of them visited. Classes up to 7th. I don't. I think the only guy for me that's shaky, and he's visiting this weekend, is Bluntstown defensive back Jordan Pride. He visits this weekend. I think that's a big visit. If you told me Marcus Woodson was still there, I'd still say, well, you know what, it's kind of shaky. Now you have somebody that brings a lot of really high credentials as far as development with Patrick Surtain. And I know that they've been in contact and talking with him, both Adam Fuller and him, and certainly a guy that's is supposed to be here visiting this weekend. And probably the one I'm most intrigued to see what he has to say. But if there's one, it would probably only be him. But outside of him, I think everyone else is pretty strong in their commitments.
About 6'2", 175. I guess it kind of goes back to your
Yeah,
length
yeah.
observation earlier, Michael. Is he Blountstown or is he IMG? What are we claiming for our guy?
He's at Bluntstown. He went to he was originally from Bluntstown. Then he transferred for a little while to IMG. It's a different situation there. I tell people, very structured, but transferred back to Bluntstown last year. I think played there at the end of the year, and then so he's back at Bluntstown. So certainly a major target for FSU this weekend. Really, like I said, the one I'm most intrigued to see what he has to say. Can play safety or corner. I think it's really up to FSU where they want him, but certainly an explosive playmaker that they want to desperately keep in this class, and certainly a guy that I'm gonna be keeping an eye on this weekend to see how it goes.
All right. So they got 7 currently in the class for 24. I don't know why he keeps jumping from pride to him, but so he's pretty much the only guy you think right now that's a little bit. Who's there? Is there a certain team in the mix, or do you think there's somebody else that might pull him away from Florida State, or do you think the Florida State might be cooling on him?
I would probably say Florida because that's the team he visited the most out of the process. But there's been other places he's visited. But I'd probably say Florida. But yeah, I will say this about Jordan, like the responses I've got from I usually don't get a lot of responses from Jordan, but ever since Sachane is hired, I ask them about certain games, when you visit again, and the responses are much more proactive from Jordan to me now. So maybe there's a little buzz there, but I think overall, I think Florida's probably the biggest threat in that, and I think the rest of the commits are good, but I think certainly there's some work to do to make a big impression this weekend as my sign falls down.
Cam Davis, though, nothing to worry about, Michael.
No, I feel good about Cam. I feel good about Cam. Did a great presentation. I think he talked with Link Jarrett and the baseball program. Certainly, he's a good baseball prospect as well. So I think they feel pretty good about kind of where they sit with Cam, and I do too. I think it's in a good situation. Now Cam said it clearly, like, hey, if there's a big coaching change, then that could maybe open it up maybe. But he's like, outside of that, he's like, Mike, I'm coming here. I'm coming to FSU. So he seems pretty locked in with FSU.
All right. Fingers, toes, everything on our anatomy that can be crossed
Yep.
is crossed when it comes to Cam Davis. Nick Castagna. If I said your last name wrong or not, apologize, Nick. Over under, Michael, 2.5. 5 stars landed for this cycle.
Nick, that's like that's nearly impossible for me to say because
Come on.
rankings are going to fluctuate. These guys are just starting to visit. If I was guessing, I'd say a little under. So I do think they'll get a 5-star in the class, but um, that's really difficult to project this early. I mean, we haven't even technically hit the 2024 cycle. We're still in January, so that doesn't really start till February. So I'm going to need a little more time to kind of see how this matriculates with just the class and so on. So we'll see, but I would say 1 for me right now.
All right. How many do we have here at On 3 right now? I mean, I'm scrolling, everybody. Again, these are very preliminary numbers on the right, and I don't know how much of it's publishers or fans forecasting, but we're not seeing Florida State on these top half of these players. So that's 15 right now. There's 15 5-stars for the 24 cycle right now on 3.
Yep.
They could possibly increase that, but yeah, I mean,
There'll be a
shoot,
lot. There'll be a lot.
even under 2.5 is still 2, and
Yeah.
I will take 2 5-stars. That's 2
Yeah.
more than
1 or 2, I could see that, but like I said, we've just starting the process, so to project this cycle before the cycle even starts, that's really difficult. Are there some guys that I think they could get that are 5-stars or will be 5-stars? Yeah, but
Name
it's
one.
kind of.
Give us one, Michael. TJ Capers.
I think just Josh Trader's one wide receiver. Um, Miami's the team right now. I would give the edge to, but I think he's from Chaminade. He's really close with Edwin. There's certainly he's going to visit FSU. I think FSU's right there in the top 2. So I think you get him on campus and show what you did again last year. I think that's certainly a guy you could pull. So like I said, there's a few in there.
Let's go to our guy, Tommy Jenkins. He's active. He's busy. All this kind of dovetails into a question or a comment from our guy, Ed Lemix from DeLuna Coffee that was talking about. He's really only worried about quarterback for this upcoming season in terms of depth, which I say, Tate's under contract now, if you will, with the collective. So they'll be all right there, but obviously you don't want Jordan to go down. But Tommy wonders, what do you think about the quarterback situation over the next 3 years, Michael, in terms of talent, depth, and development? Can't hear you, Michael. If you can hear me, my bad. move your stuff around, you might knock your headset off. Yeah, it's got yourself muted. Let me see if can I unmute you? It says I can't unmute you because you've chose to mute yourselves. He's got the knowledge. He's got his own cameraman working. He's his own IT guy. I just got to sit here and
All right.
tap dance for y'all. Yeah, there
How
you go. Right on, Michael. So what do you think about the as Tommy was asking, what do you think about the quarterback situation for these next 3 years in terms of what you've seen, talent they've brought in, the depth they have, recruiting in terms of options and development?
I think it's the best it's been so far. You got a really solid backup, as we saw when he was calling the action and Tate Rodemaker in the Louisville game, and I think you got a guy that I'm really high on in AJ Duffy, bringing a really good young gunslinger in Brock Glenn, and then you obviously have your Heisman candidate in Jordan Travis. So I think it's the best it's been. I think development is really good. We kind of saw that when Tate was sprung into action. And then I like kind of what I've seen already with AJ Duffy, and so I think it's really good. I think Tony Tokarch does not get enough credit for what he's done already with this quarterback room.
Well said, Michael. Mike Bainter's back, yo. Chances with Jonathan Davis, Picola.
It's Jonathan Daniels,
Daniels.
but yeah, really good. I like I like where FSU sits the best, and Jonathan kind of echoes that sentiment for the story we did on him. I think Atkins has done a phenomenal job with the connection to him. I think FSU sits in the best spot. I think they're number one right now for Jonathan. He's supposed to visit Georgia as well this weekend, but I like where they sit.
6'5", 285 offensive lineman. Where is he on the board, do you think, Michael, for their wants on the offensive line in terms of recruiting a high school kid?
Pretty high, pretty high. Nice right tackle position guy. I think they like him a lot. They've coveted him a lot. He's visited a few times already, and certainly a guy that they've made a coveted offensive lineman to go along with Jason Zandamela, who also visited last weekend. That they love. That's over there from Clearwater International Academy. Both of those guys, I think, are in-state guys that they covet pretty highly, and both of them, I think, they sit in a good spot at this point.
All right. Tom Ortner, Lester? Question mark.
FSU leads, Tom. That's it. That's it. That's my stance on Charles Lester. I think FSU is sitting in a pretty strong spot. I would not pay attention to a lot of that recruiting machine stuff. I like where FSU sits. I would have FSU at that percentage.
Ooh.
So I feel pretty good about this. Is a diehard fan, just like how Derwin James was. I think the product on the field was a big deal with Charles, and I think it's a big deal that you have a guy like Patrick Surtain who's so good at development. I've heard he's already talked to Surtain, and I would say this too with Charles, like, don't get so giddy of just being sure that he's going to play DB. I've heard he likes receiver a lot. From what I talked to my people in Riverview and people around Charles, that he's really high on playing the receiver position. So it wouldn't stun me if say he went to FSU and he ended up at playing receiver. But he is very elite at DB too. He's just an elite athlete. But right now, Tom, I feel pretty good about where FSU sits with Charles.
Let's watch some video of the one Charles
Sure.
Lester out there in Sarasota. This is his athlete tape. This is, I think, maybe 2 seasons ago, but nonetheless, we get a good idea of him. I mean, would he be? I mean, if this class ends up signing, let's say, 15 high school kids, I mean, I don't know where they're going to be numbers wise, Michael, but if they were to sign 15 kids and Lester is one of them, is he one of the top 3 guys you think in the class?
Yeah, I think he's the version of Hakeem Williams for 2024, and we all know how coveted they wanted with Hakeem, and I think Charles is the same way, and not just on the talent. They like the makeup of this guy, away from football, the leadership he has, also the what he would bring to your locker room. Naturally, the skill set is crazy sick good, but I think he's the Hakeem Williams for me of the class, of just getting a guy that really just changes your makeup of the program when you get an elite player. And I think too, if you get a Charles Lester, he's going to bring other guys. He's a very nationally popular recruit around other recruits, and I think he's going to attract other players. So I think certainly they've done a phenomenal job already with the Lester recruitment. They've gotten him on campus. I can't count how many times he's visited FSU more places than any. Charles said it himself best. He's like, if I have a choice to go visit anywhere and I'm not sure where I'm going to Florida State. So that's how much he cares and loves FSU. And I think they've certainly done the best. And that was kind of the thing I was looking for of what he said after was, you know, getting a guy like Surtain, if he did play DB, you can't get too many guys that are better with development than what Surtain does and what his history is with that position. And I think FSU's hitting all the right buttons. Product on the field was a big deal with me and Charles. Just last year, I think he really wanted to see the product, and I think he sees that. And now he's like, hey, these guys are there, and I know what they're. I know where the program's going, so there's not a concern of are these guys going to get there? Are they going to be? I mean, it's like he knows where the program is. Norvell, he has a unique, special relationship with him, and I think it's just I think it's a staff that's done a great job as a whole with him. It hasn't been just one guy. I mean, they focused a lot of their attention on recruiting him as a staff as a whole, as a program as a whole, and they've done the best job. And I think they sit certainly in a really good spot right now.
Thorough explanation. Quick 30-second timeout, everybody. Hit the thumbs up. We certainly would appreciate it. Takes you less than 30 seconds. We're not even going to stop for a full 30 seconds, but if you could just thumbs up button on your screen, we certainly would appreciate it. Costs you nothing. Promise nobody's going to start tracking your movements or anything. It just goes to YouTube and just says, psst, there's something cool going on. Let other Florida State fans know about it. So hit the thumbs up. We certainly would appreciate it. Michael working hard for you, giving you all this information for free. FSU Chief Michael asks, will Cam D end up as a 5-star?
I think he will.
Who is Cam D, by the way?
I would assume he's talking about Cam Davis.
Cameron Davis. Oh,
yeah, just spelled it wrong.
Cameron with a C threw me off. Sorry.
Yeah, so I would think he is. I think Cam is a 5-star talent. That's the way I view him. I think he will get there. I think he will get to that point. He's right there on the edge. He's at 31. That's right there, right on the cusp of the edge. Usually you have like the top 25 are usually 5-stars when you hit into that cycle. So I think he's going to be. I think he's going to be a 5-star.
I don't know if I've ever watched film of his. I should probably watch some film. You want to watch some film of Cam Davis?
Let's do it.
Watch some film.
It's fun. He does everything.
How does he compare at all to CJ Baxter from the previous cycle?
His power, the power's similar. The power way he runs, but he's just so big, and the way he runs is for him to be that big and fast. It's very unique. He has a unique skill set. The way he runs, I don't know who I would compare him to, but he definitely has the power what CJ Baxter did, and I think he's certainly a really good prospect. I think when you look at it, Doherty, I think Doherty got to around the third, fourth round, and without that guy, there's no way they're even in that position. Like the guy does everything. The guy plays quarterback because you put the best athlete at quarterback. Really good one-cut guy. Speed in the open field is phenomenal. Knows how to get away from people as far as elusiveness and just his wheels for a guy that size is just very next level. Type of I mean he's a prototypical NFL back when you look at the things he does. That's just very unique and special. I think he's everything you look for in a running back, and he's been the number one guy for FSU for like over 2 years. So, and with good reason when you watch some of this film, whether he's throwing the ball and his athleticism to throw the ball, even though he's not a quarterback, and just what he does in space where he can make people miss. And I can't stress it enough. I mean, he plays for a Doherty team. If Doherty doesn't have him, and there's no disrespect to that team, but there's no way they come close to the playoffs without that guy.
I don't want to be lazy and compare him to another guy that played a lot of quarterback and then ended up coming here as a running back. He looks a little bit more maybe explosive. I don't know if he's as physical. I mean, he's physical, but kind of Cam Akers, little
Yeah,
Cam Akers-ish.
yeah, that's what I was thinking too. When I watch him, he's got a little more shiftiness than Cam did. Cam was a very in between the tackles runner. I think with Cam, he has a little more shiftiness and cuts to his game, but the way they run and the way they shield their pad level and stuff like that is very similar to kind of some of the things Cam did.
Moving along here, let's go to Terry Vaughn. Terry Vaughn. Thoughts on Khalil Cummings, defensive back, Bradford County.
I like Khalil a lot. He's a four-star athlete on three. Certainly, I think he's a guy they like at safety position. I talk about that enforcer. I think Khalil's kind of exactly that. I love that this kid was so innocent the way he now he just did his post-game interview. He's like they covet me and I heavily covet them. Like I love that answer of, I haven't heard a kid say that in a while or even at all. But I thought it was just a really innocent and honest answer. But he's a guy that they've been on. Norvell's first visit to any recruit was to Khalil. If you want to read anything to that, but the fact that FSU was certainly visiting him, that says a lot. I think he's an athlete that does a lot for Bradford. If you watch his game, that they move around at the different skill places. They certainly run him around at linebacker and DB, and I think he's going to be. I think safety is where his best position is because he's so fast. He's got such good wheels and such good ball skills. I think he just fits perfectly of what they're kind of looking for in that prospect. But just a tremendous athlete, and one I think on three is kind of ahead of the game as far as other people have him like high 3-star. I think on three's got him as a 4-star, and I think that's the exact place he should be. I think he's a really good athlete that they covet very highly, and he seemed to indicate, like a few others, that currently FSU has the momentum with him.
Nick's back. KJ Bolden, Pat Surtain talking?
Yeah, they're talking like a billion other DBs that they're after. KJ's I think the number one safety in the country, and certainly a guy that is really grew up a big FSU fan. So that's always a plus. But you got to get him on campus. 5-star, and that was another one I was going to list at 5-star that they could. There's work to do. I think there's work to do to catch up with the Georgias and the Floridas and maybe even the Ohio States in there. I think they need to get him back on campus. He hasn't been there probably in over a year, so I think you will see him in March visit FSU. From what I can tell, I've heard they had a really good talk with him and Surtain over the phone. So he likes him a lot. He knows, obviously, if you're a DB, you got to be on the tropical island if you don't know what Patrick Surtain's done as far as either playing or how he can develop players. So he certainly wants to see FSU and see what they can do. But definitely, there's still work to do. But yeah, there is some early talks, and I think March will probably be a place where you see KJ visit. They're holding on March 11th. I think sounds like a junior day on March 11th. So that's something that kind of looking for and see if he follows through on that visit.
Shout out to the Orts. Drop him $2 in the jar. Shouting out his guy over in Russia, Ingvar, who's also in the chat. What up, Ingvar? What up, Tom? Appreciate it, man. Keeping things moving along here on the Warchant live recruiting chat with Michael Langston. He's a recruiting analyst for Warchant.com. You know that. Go check everything out on the premium recruiting board, Warchant.com, PRB. Somebody was asking here if the class holds up. I mean, there's only 7 guys, so I mean, it's got to do more than hold up. But the way it's tracking right now, Michael, are you seeing it's like top 15 your floor? I mean, would you be surprised if they finish outside the top 15, or what do you think about how they're trending with some of these guys? Again, very prematurely early in the cycle.
I would push it up to 11 or 9. I think it could get to that point. I think their season makes me raise the bar and the floor and the ceiling up with what FSU's done on the field and what they're doing. I think it's going to attract a lot of people, and we already saw it a certainly a rise from last year what people expected. I'm certainly there's a lot of people that did not expect them to get Hakeem Williams, Conrad Hussey, Edwin Joseph, and just a lot of people didn't expect what the season they had. So if they have another really good season, I think it certainly could raise up to that point. For me, it's 11, 12, between 9 to 12, I guess. But I definitely think it can get into that range.
Tom Mortner's back. How many receivers can or will they take, do you think? They got to be getting pretty full, right?
Yeah, I mean, the thing is, receiver, they might take one more than they probably need because you're going to lose probably three. So you're going to lose several. So I think you're going to probably load up with that. I mean, I would say between 3 to 5. So I think it's going to be a significant position that they want to load up. I've already mentioned the trader kid. There's a lot of other kids go to the PRB. You can see my full breakdown on the receiver position. There's a lot of guys that they're certainly heavy with. They already have Camden Fryer, likely going to get Tawaski Abrams. So I think they're already off to a pretty strong start, and I think they're going to certainly heavily covet the wide receiver position this year.
All right. Tomcat also back. I don't know if he's given us who number 18 is, but it's all right. We'll move along. I won't ask about a kicker, he says, but any true centers on the radar?
I think Jason Zandamela, who I mentioned earlier, interior guy, he can certainly play center. He mentioned the center position when I talked to him on last weekend where he highlighted FSU's visit. I think there's a lot of guys that it's very rare that you get a kid that'll tell you like FSU's recruiting him at one specific position outside of a guy like Lucas Simmons last year where he's just a pure left tackle. But I think a lot of these guys you see where even the transfers they got coming in that Casey Roddick can play center. Several of the guys they got from there, from either it's Byers or somebody else, they can play these center positions that they need to. So I think you'll see a lot more guys. I just mentioned one, but there's probably going to be a lot more. If you go to the offensive line board, you can kind of sense which ones. I think the guys that play interior, I think all those guys are a possibility for center. I think last year, I think they got Chris Otto, who I think could play center. He could play actually any of the positions on there, but I think it's very versatile the way Atkins recruits his linemen because he wants guys that can play multiple spots, and certainly I think there'll be more of those guys in this class, at the offensive line. But that's just one of them in Jason Zandamela.
Tommy, 2024 under the radar recruit, Michael.
That's tough because we just started. We haven't even really started the cycle, so it's hard to say who is under. I would go back to the Khalil kid, where a lot of people have him a 3-star, Khalil Cummings, and that's probably an under radar kid or underappreciated kid. If you look at his skill set and talent, I think he's one. Ricky Knight is another one. Probably Ricky's the highest because he's like a 3-star, and overall, I think he's much better than a 3-star. So I would pick those two guys.
Look at that, Michael. You're like, it's early, but boom, you pull it off. You answered it just like that.
There you go.
Let's go to the fair dentist. A good man by the name of Z Chan drops $20 in the jar. Thank you, Z Chan. I played music for you profusely, very loudly, but it's not working. But it's all right. Doesn't matter. It's not about me. It's about you guys. He's got jokes for all of us.
Okay.
I don't want to say that out loud because then they might, somehow might get edited and then said that I'm thinking that that's going to happen. I think Florida State's fine at tight end, Michael. What do you think about Florida State at tight end right now?
I like what they have. A lot of catch radius with Kyle Murlock. I love Jaheim Bell. I think Jaheim Bell is a game breaker that's going to really change this FSU offense. So, I'm not even going to address that. I think you kind of know what the deal is there with, Bowers and Georgia. So that's definitely not going to happen. But I feel really good about, this tight end room now that they've added those two pieces to go along with what they already have. Got Brian Courtney, you got, Jarrell Powers, who I like a lot. And Marquiston Douglas had a big, I think, breakout year as far as I'm concerned. So I think that room looks pretty good.
Andrew Peacock Can we discuss coaches visiting recruits during the dead period? Is that even a thing? It's the dead period. It seems like a lot of effort for the coach when they can't really interact much, if at all, with the recruit. Is this something that's happening, Michael?
It's not a dead period, Andrew. It's the coaches aren't allowed on the road if it's a dead period. So it's probably a period where they cannot have contact or where they can have long conversations with them. Now what happens is they go to school, they talk to the high school coaches about their players. There's an occasional hi. I mean, yeah, there's probably some talking and chatting outside of, but they can't have long conversation with them. But what happens usually is the recruit will call the coach up, and then they'll have their conversation and talk. But it's mainly for them to see them, to show that, hey, you're a priority to us. This is why I'm here. I'm here to talk to your coach about you. So certainly it's mainly about showing them, kind of the love that, hey, you are important to us.
Z-Chan's a maniac. Just came back and threw $100 at us. What are you doing, Z-Chan?
Oh man.
It was a trick question, he says. We won the prize, Michael, apparently. We don't need Brock back. Cool. Let's be cool, Z-Chan. Let's be cool. Let's not get carried away.
Appreciate it.
Appreciate that.
I
Thank you,
appreciate it, Z. Appreciate that.
Extremely generous of you. Brock, if I were you, man, I would just shut it down, bud. I would just shut it down and get ready for Indy next year in the combine.
I'm telling you, man. I'm telling you, man.
I mean, Georgia's fine. They won 2 in a row, man.
I think that's no disrespect to anybody. I think that's the best player in college football. When I watch that guy play, he is ridiculous. But yeah, appreciate it, Z.
Yeah. Unless you're going to play the Gator. Play the Gator game. Just get one game on film, Brock. Just one game.
Yeah.
Just let them know you're still out there playing and you're ready to go to the league.
Beat the Gators and then cut it out.
Yeah,
cut it out
the rest of the year. Yeah, Kirby will be fine. Don't let Kirby shame you. Don't let him guilt you. Worry about you, Brock. Do what's best for you and your family.
Yep.
My gosh, what are we doing? Let's go! Come on!
If Aslan could play his horn, he would right now.
I'm so hurt. It hurts that I can't play the song, man.
Joe, you're my man. I'm going to talk to Connie soon, Joel, and I will. This thing I wasn't going to say anything to people. I'm going on vacation after this weekend because after that things shut down. But I'm going to do booster stops. I have a few. Jacksonville's already set up in February. I have one in I think around Brevard County. I have one in March. So yes, Joel, I will be there. I just need to set it up with Connie, and I'm glad you told me that because that reminds me I can want to hit them up soon. But I will definitely be there. So certainly that's upcoming.
I don't know if this is going to work, but I'm going to try. I have to at least try. When Joel shows up with the bag, we have to at least effort, Michael. Let's see if this will work.
Give it a shot. There we go.
Yeah.
That's for you, Joel. That's for you.
We've been struggling all night, man. Got that going. I feel so much. That's for you too, Z-Chan, as well as you, Tom Ortner, and whoever else I forgot. I think Tommy threw some dollars too. It's for all of y'all. We're gonna be a little bit more judicious. There, he's back. Tom's back with $5 more. Z-Chan, Joel, thank you so much, man. That's incredible. It's amazing. Several people have actually, no, not really. I mean, we got to keep the streak alive, Michael. You want to say anything about Destyn Hill or no? We're just going to wait till May?
We'll wait for May. Sam Spiegelman has insisted that he is coming and enrolling in May. We'll find out in May. That's my take. Am I skeptical? Yeah. But have I heard definitely and shut it down like he's not coming? No, I have not heard that. It's just been quiet. So, and I think FSU's kind of taking a wait and see. They've hearing some stuff that it could happen, but it's just going to be a wait and see. And I can tell you this, people better lock that favorite thing in. If Sam's right, Sam's going to be the most popular person on the internet because he broke this around December. So if that comes true, Sam, you're going to look like a hero. But yeah, I think we'll wait and see what happens. I'm definitely going to check over the weekend, and I'll keep checking, guys, because we'll see. I'll see if there's any news, but right now it's just a wait and see.
The tweet's still up, everybody.
Yep.
So we all still can believe. As long as the tweet's up,
It's there.
there's still a chance. There's still a chance. Tommy Jenkins, can somebody explain? Can someone describe again the super sticker that Tommy's put on our screen? I cannot see it. Neither can Michael. But we appreciate the sentiment and the effort. That's all that matters. Thank you,
Yep.
Tommy. He says he's got a last question, which I
Okay.
don't believe. He'll be back, I'm sure. How long have you been an FSU fan, Michael? He's been a fan since '81 when he saw the Spear. He grew up in the heart of Notre Dame country. Wow. Our guy, Indiana, huh?
I was born in 1971. That's it. Since birth. So obviously, with my job, that's more business. You got to set that to the side of who you like. But I think I'm the only one that covers any scenario that I'm born and raised in Tallahassee. So I've been born and raised around this stuff. I've seen the bad, the good, the really bad. So I've seen a lot. So I've been around it all my life, Tommy.
91, I remember. 91, I remember, like, I had a couple teachers that were FSU grads, so
Hmm.
they were super excited for the Michigan game. And I remember watching the Michigan game in the big house in 91. And because I was like, oh, that's Michigan. Like Florida State's kind of still on the come up. Oh,
Yep.
it's Michigan. It's tough. You can't just walk in the big house and beat Michigan, and
Yep.
stomped them. T-Buck and the crew stomped them. Amp Lee. And I'm like, yeah, they're pretty good.
Todrick
And
McIntosh with the pick six.
uh,
Yeah, that was an incredible time. You remember that was a time where they went through a gauntlet. They had to play LSU, Michigan. This had such a gauntlet, and that was an amazing time. But yeah, for Tommy, yeah, I've been around it my whole life. I think my parents are like season ticket holders. They've been season ticket holders about around the same amount of time I've been on this earth. So they've been going to games forever. So definitely, it's been a while.
who's your favorite all-time player from Florida State, Michael?
I love so many. If you ask my personal connection, favorite FSU player, it would be Chris Thompson from Madison County. Because of who he is, the type of person he is, just the what he represents is just is the most impressive kid I've ever done in recruiting. Best players, Derek Brooks has got to be high up there for me. Marvin, Jameis Winston, those are some of just the elite guys. There's so many. Charlie Ward, those are the guys that really stuck out to me. But as far as the best recruit I've dealt with, just getting to know him personally and what he is and what he represents, it's like if you're an FSU fan, Chris Thompson makes you proud to be an FSU fan because of what he represented. That guy is the best kid I've ever dealt with.
I love Kelvin. I wish I could turn my
Yeah.
camera around. I don't know, man. The kids from the Muck, I got like a soft spot for the Muck for some reason.
Yes. Glade
Kelvin,
Central.
man.
Glade
Kelvin,
Central.
freak. Tomcats back. Dylan Stevenson, 2 question marks.
Yeah, visited over the weekend. I think it's FSU Miami battle. I think he's been to FSU more than in most of any player I can or recruit I can remember as far as the defensive end position. He's really high on FSU. Miami's up there as well. He's from Columbus High School, but I think FSU is certainly done a phenomenal job in this recruitment, and I think product is really going to play a role in development as far as what either Miami does or FSU does from that defensive end position. I think if you look at FSU, it's certainly pretty positive. So I think it's FSU Miami battle there.
All right. Let's take one last one as we wrap up here the Warchant Live Recruiting Show with Michael Langston. If you could hit that thumbs up, everybody, we certainly would appreciate it. Thanks for hanging out. It's been a lot of fun as always. Nick's asking about 2 receivers from St. Thomas, Chance Robinson, James Madison.
Yeah, James Madison, I think FSU leads there. I think Chance, they're right on the edge. Chance has actually told me he's a close family friend of Patrick Surtain, so that ties are going to be pretty strong there. He's visited FSU like 3 or 4 times. He's really high on FSU. He's going to visit them, I think, around that March weekend as well. I think he'll be back in there. I think certainly they're a school that's high up there. I don't think there's a leader. I don't think they're in the leader status like they are with James, but I think Chance is one of their top targets at receiver. As I mentioned, there's a ton of them. And really, I think once he takes that FSU visit, if everything clicks like it usually does, I think you could see FSU kind of being the team that he mentions the most as far as who stands out. But certainly FSU is high on his list. But there is still work to do as far as getting him on campus and getting him around the everyday things they do, and just getting a better feel for the plans they would have for Chance in this offense. But he's certainly taken notice of everything they've done.
All right. Thanks again, everybody. If you could hit that thumbs up, we would appreciate it. Michael, what's something else on the horizon possibly you were saying this week? Or we're not done this week, are we?
No, like I said,
later?
yeah, TJ Abrams announces tomorrow, as I said, 3:15 Thursday at Dunbar High School. I'll have that. Assuming it's good news, I'll certainly you'll have something on that, and then this weekend we'll certainly have the next FSU Junior Day. We didn't really get into kind of the job they've done in this previous 2 Junior Days, which has been phenomenal. And everyone asked me, like, is it how much different is it? It's a massive difference as far as before. It was like the summer you were getting kids in, and there was a lot of kids rotating in. But now I've never seen it, even back to the Jimbo days. I don't think I can remember this early, them being this many top prospects and 4 stars that are on campus at FSU. The buzz is real. The buzz is certainly there, and you feel it just the way the recruits talk about it. So there's a lot of excitement building. We'll have that Junior Day coming up. There's going to be visitors on Saturday, the visitors on Sunday, and I'll certainly have a recruiting wrap. I'll have my usual features that we have. Ira will handle all the updates. We'll have you covered as far as full coverage on the FSU Junior Day. Don't forget to hit the like button every time we do a feature, guys. That's the only request I ever give you guys, is hit the like button one time. Got a lot of stuff coming up. Team coverage coming up. Practice is going to start around the corner, so get geared up because Warchant's going to have you covered.
Thanks again to Tom Ortner, Tommy Jenkins, Joel Davis, Z-Chan, Ed Lemmix, and L.A. the God for throwing some dollars in the tip jar. We appreciate that. And thanks again, everybody, for watching. Again, hit that thumbs up. Be on the lookout for any news in regards to TJ Abrams' announcement. Tomorrow, Michael will have you covered. Head over to the Premium Recruiting Board as well. Michael, thanks for doing this as always, man.
Anytime.